What is Vertcoin? Vertcoin is an open source, truly decentralized digital currency that can be sent from peer-to-peer over the internet. There are no intermediaries, no chargebacks, and most importantly, you control your money. Vertcoin is sent and received from a digital wallet on your mobile phone or PC. When you send Vertcoin, the transaction is published to a distributed public ledger, whereby users are incentivized to verify transactions with their computer processing power in return for a Vertcoin reward. Surprisingly, most transaction verification for leading cryptocurrencies, such as Bitcoin, is not done by its users at all. It is handled almost entirely by large data centers called mining farms. These farms use specialized hardware called ASICs, which are primarily owned and operated by large mining companies and ASIC manufacturers. So why does it matter? ASICs centralize power in the hands of a few, allowing them to manipulate transaction fees, force protocol changes, and block others. Vertcoin foresaw the issues ASICs would bring and pledges to keep its mining algorithm ASIC resistant by hard forking if needed. By allowing users to profitably mine coins on home desktop PCs and laptops, Vertcoin stays true to the original vision of cryptocurrency, a financial system owned and run by its users. Visit vertcoin.org to get started.
What is Vertcoin? Vertcoin is a digital currency that can be sent between people over the internet without having to rely on any payment processor. Compared to other alternative technologies, Vertcoin has a number of advantages. Like Bitcoin and Litecoin, Vertcoin isn't controlled by large banks or institutions. Vertcoin is free from control of big mining hardware manufacturers and can be mined by anybody profitably. One of Vertcoin's biggest strengths is its active community of developers and members working as volunteers, all growing entirely off of donations. With Vertcoin, you can truly be your own bank. Let's take a look at some of the great features Vertcoin has to offer. Decentralized mining. Mining should be fair and easy, which is what Vertcoin delivers by not allowing ASICs on the network. This ensures long-term security and fair distribution of the currency. Vertcoin's one-click miner. Building a strong network requires many miners. So Vertcoin made mining easy with their one-click miner. Now anyone can mine and earn Vertcoin fairly and easily at the single click of a button. Active development team. Vertcoin developers are constantly working towards advancements in blockchain technology. And building strong relationships with other blockchain developers helps us learn and share information for better outcomes. Segregated witness. SegWit allows Vertcoin to increase its block sizes and add second-layer solutions for further improvements, such as the Lightning Network. Lightning Network. The Lightning Network offers scalable, instant blockchain transactions, allowing for massive increases in network capacity and an instant point of sale for merchant adoption. Atomic cross-chain swaps. A decentralized way of exchanging your Vertcoin with another coin that exists on a different blockchain. One of the benefits to Vertcoin is that the software is completely open source and anybody can review the code. Vertcoin is changing the financial system, the same way the internet changed publishing. Vertcoin will allow everyone access to the global market, incentivizing great ideas to flourish. Let's take a look at some examples of how Vertcoin is already used today. You can purchase video games, gifts, books, servers, and even a nice pair of socks. Vertcoin is listed on a number of exchanges where you can exchange those coins for dollars, euros, and more. Vertcoin's low transaction fees and quick payments allow any small business to offer multiple payment options. Unlike Visa and MasterCard, there isn't any cost to get set up to accept Vertcoin as a business. There are no chargebacks, and there's just a very small transaction fee that equates to about 1 cent. You get additional business from the crypto economy by accepting cryptocurrencies. Does this look like something you would be interested in? Do you want to know where to buy and how to mine your first Vertcoin? Go to vertcoin.org today.
Alright guys, welcome to this episode of Vertcoin Talk. This is episode 15. This is the January developer update, so let me know if you guys are able to hear me. We are a little bit more production savvy this go around. I know I tried to do this setup for the fork that happened earlier this month on the 1st, but I kind of ran out of time. I don't know if you guys can hear a little bit of a hum, but I am currently mining on my big gaming rig, and this is actually happening on my laptop. I'm doing all the production, everything over here. So let me know if audio sounds good. You may hear a little bit of a humming, but that is the actual rig running right now, mining with my P2 pull-up and everything of that nature. So the purpose of today's talk is to go over the January developer update that we just put out, and just want to hit a bunch of the highlights on here. Also answer any questions that you may have for the team. You know, the best of my ability to be able to answer those. But I do want to apologize. I am exhausted right now. Just I've traveled all night and everything of that nature, so I don't have a Vertcoin shirt on and things of that nature. So we're kind of doing this here last minute before I get ready to head to bed. But let's go ahead and jump into the developer update. So as you can see here, this comes out on our Vertcoin blog over at Medium. We put these out towards the beginning of every month. Now this one was a little bit delayed, so we're 8 days out from the front of the month because of the fork that happened February 1st. So as you guys know, we forked to the new algorithm February 1st. Didn't have any problems. Everything went successfully. It took a few days for a lot of the block indicators and stuff of that nature to get rolled over to the new algorithm, but we are all set and good to go. So here, just wanted to go through the developer update. If you have any questions on the developer update, actually let me see if I can put a link to this in the chat here. So we'll see, bring that up here so you can go and read it for yourself. But here we're just going to go through and kind of go over the developer update. So one thing you're going to notice is that there's an extending theme throughout the entire month of January, and that is the fork. So all of our resources went into making sure that this went off without a hitch, so that we didn't have an Ethereum thing where we had to revert, you know, the fork that was going to happen a day or two beforehand. You know, unfortunately, we don't have these gigantic auditing firms in order to verify our code is right. We have to do it ourselves, and then we also rely on the community as well to be able, since we are open source, we have everybody, you know, they're able to comb the code and just make sure everything works right. We also give ourselves much more lead time too. So we initiated the test net of this back at the end of last year. So that gave us plenty of time to work out any bugs or anything like that before the actual go live date. So here, as you can see, it reads, you know, last Friday, February 1st, we successfully forked, which was great. You know, obviously, there wasn't a lot of news made about this, which is a little frustrating, because if this would have failed, I guarantee it would have been on every single crypto news site. I mean, even, you know, probably, you know, mainstream media may have picked it up. I don't know, but nobody has really talked about it because it kind of just went under the radar because there was no there was nothing negative that came out of it. Everything seems to be positive, but you know, one of the things that we did touch on here is that, you know, even though the fork went off without a hitch, there are still threats to the security of a truly decentralized proof of work chain. So what we're talking about there is that the day after the fork happened, NiceHash had it available for people to mine the new algorithm, which is entirely frustrating for us. I know myself, a few of the other developers, and some of the community members, we actually, when NiceHash announced this on their Twitter, we actually said, hey, it'd be nice if you didn't, you know, because it, you know, we don't want a rentable system that allows you to attack proof of work coins to be available on our algorithm. But you know, it's their business model, so obviously they're going to roll with it. Anything they can do in order to increase that earnings, and I don't blame them. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, that's how they make money, so it is what it is. As we've already seen, there's now a marketplace on NiceHash for Layer 2 Rev 3. Although it's currently available, hash power is not enough to attack our network, so that's something else to keep in mind. It is there, but there is not enough GPU hash power to attack our network, so that's a bonus. That's a plus, and of course we're going to continuously monitor that. You know, I know we've had some people actually say, Well, what if, you start getting 51% attacked by NiceHash again? We are looking at ways to be able to have some algorithms in our back pocket. Obviously, forking is a little bit of a pain in the ass in all, just being as blunt as possible, because it's a lot of coordination. It's a lot of, making sure that everybody who is going to support the fork, we want to make sure that we don't have to do this a lot, but the final solution, the nail in the coffin per se for NiceHash is looking to be Vert Hash, which we're still in R&D with that. But we actually talked about Vert Hash a little bit in this dev update. So here, just going through, we reiterated that we recommend exchanges continue to raise confirmation limits for higher deposits. Now, I know a lot of people are very frustrated with the 600 confirmations on Bittrex. Even if they're shifting 100 Vertcoin, which right now that's what 100 Vertcoins around 30 cents, so it's 30 bucks. I think it's right. Me doing math right now is probably not the best thing with how tired I am. But if you're shifting 30,000 Vertcoin, obviously you're going to want to adjust that confirmation time. So right now, unfortunately, from what we've seen, most exchanges do not adjust automatically. It's just kind of a set for whichever coin that they're setting the confirmations for. But we're hoping that they'll, invest in some of the technology or do some coding in order to allow an adjustable confirmation rate depending on how much you are depositing onto their exchange. So, you can read all kinds of information about what you need to update. There's a link in the dev update, and I'll actually go ahead and just post it in the chat here, so you can so you have an easy link right to it. So it's to a Reddit post that has all of the software that you need to update. So if you have not updated yet, please do not transfer any of your Vertcoin from any of your current wallets unless you are updated to the latest versions of the wallets. If you're not using the Vertcoin Core or the Vertcoin Electrium wallet, then you need to verify that whatever wallet you're using has updated to the latest version or the latest code so that you're on the appropriate chain. The last thing I want for you to do is to send your coins somewhere and they're on the old chain, because that's your coins are no longer good. So I don't want anybody to lose their coins. I don't want anybody to lose their value that they have stored. So make sure you update to the latest wallet. So to touch on Vert Hash, because now it's kind of like, oh, okay, Layer 2 Rev 3, that's old news now. I mean, it's only been a week, but most people would say it's old news because it's implemented, it's done. ASICs are off the network, as you guys saw in the thumbnail for this. If you go check out the Vertcoin hash power and kind of what happened when we instituted the fork, you saw directly the axe to the ASICs, which is what we were intending. So remember, Layer 2 Rev 3 was to get the ASICs off. It was not to stop NiceHash or to, I mean, we kind of did some optimization so FPGAs do not have as much of an advantage, but really a lot of that functionality and that's kind of the goals of Vert Hash. So here we'll go over this section about Vert Hash. So Vert Hash is and was under development before we declared or decided to hard fork to our current algorithm. While Vert Hash would have resulted in the same effect with ASICs, making them useless to mine our coin, the timeline was not compatible with kind of our desire to get rid of the ASICs quickly. So Vert Hash is still under development, and we're trying to address some of the outsourceability problems with NiceHash and such with Vert Hash. But just so you guys are aware, Vert Hash is an IO-bound algorithm that uses the blockchain data as input to the hashing algorithm. So it is therefore requires miners to have all of the blockchain data available to them, which is currently about 4 gigabytes worth of data. And by making this mining data mandatory, it will become harder for auto-profiting switching miners like the ones that that rent out their GPU to NiceHash, because they need to keep the full node running while they're mining other algorithms. So that's kind of the concept behind what we're trying to do in order to kind of brick NiceHash. So we're still doing some testing with that and stuff of that nature. So over the last month, we have successfully developed the first implementation of Vert Hash in the Vertcoin Core code base. And within development team, we have run a few nodes on the testnet just to test functionality, and everything seems to be working properly. However, this is not just a little tweak like with Rev 3, so we need a lot of time, and I don't want to give a specified amount of time because that may, you know, fluctuate depending on if we find bugs and stuff of that nature, but we will need more time in order to test Vert Hash to make sure that it is as secure and as clean as everything else that we've put out. The next step for us is we have to build the GPU miners for AMD and Nvidia, and this is kind of a no ETA moment since we're waiting on GPU developers, which are in high demand, as everybody can imagine. So once the miners are ready, we'll be able to release 0.15 beta that hard forks the testnet, just like we just did with Rev 3. We're going to follow this kind of the same process. So all of you guys that were here with us for the last week, you kind of know what to expect when it comes to forking a coin. And so we should be able to knock this out pretty quickly once we get, you know, as far as getting people onto the testnet and getting those checked out. So if you want to read some more information on Vert Hash, check back a few of our developer updates ago. We actually went into some detail on Rev 3 and also Vert Hash, but there's some other good information here as well. So, you know, once we hard fork the testnet and all the code is going to be public, you know, that's one of the things. Some people in the community have been, you know, a little concerned over the fact that we have not made our current developments on Vert Hash public, and it's kind of because the code's not really complete. And it wouldn't be responsible of us, one, to give out open source code that's not complete, because people may find bugs and stuff may not run properly. But also, one of the other things too is that the longer that we hold our R&D phase to our chest, the less time that we give places like NiceHash to look at this stuff and develop a solution. You know, we were trying to think of every possible way that they may come up with a solution in order to get around the impediments that we're putting in their way to make their system work with Vert Hash. But you know, of course, the more time we give them, the less likely, or the more likelihood it is that they're going to be able to find us a solution. So so once we hard fork the testnet and all the code is made public, there's no secrecy for release software. All the code will be open just like you're used to, just not yet. So just keep that in mind there. One of the things I'm looking at, questions we got here. Actually, how many forks for the hashing algorithms were there in total on Vertcoin? So only one. Well, we've had 3 forks before. I think this was our 4th, or this may have been our 3rd. Like I said, I apologize, I'm tired. But it's only 1 fork, so whenever you go to do that hard fork, it's just, you know, you split off. You have the dead chain, which is no longer supported, and then you have the new chain, which is Rev 3. So Rev 2 is the dead chain, and then Rev 3 is the new chain. Let's see. So let's see. At the moment, we believe 4. Yep, so that's right. So you mentioned the blockchain was around 4 gigabytes. Would a GPU with 4 gigabytes be able to mine Vert Hash? So when we say 4 gigabytes, that is the size of the blockchain itself that has to be stored on a hard drive with the mining rig, not necessarily the memory that's on the graphics card. So when we say there's 4 gigabytes for the blockchain, we're talking about the actual asset on the hard drive. So your core wallet, you know, the blockchain that syncs is about 4 gigabytes. So that's the asset that has to be on the mining rig in order to facilitate the mining. You know, obviously with NiceHash, they're a cloud they collect all of the hashing power through the cloud, and then they're able to do the mining on the back end, and then they do all the exchanging and everything like that. So not necessary. So just because you have the NiceHash software installed on your computer, most of those miners do not have the core wallet or the actual full blockchain downloaded locally as well. So that's kind of what we're looking to do in order to make it so that, look, if you want to mine, now theoretically this doesn't stop anybody who has the whole blockchain locally on NiceHash, and NiceHash just kind of does what they did with Rev 3, where they just put it out, and then their system checks to see if they have the full blockchain on that mining rig. They could still, I guess in theory, and I'd have to, you know, I guess war game this a little bit, but I guess still in theory, they could mine through NiceHash. But at that point, it's like, what's the point? Why don't you just use CC Miner and cut out the fact that NiceHash gets a percentage of whatever it is that you're doing? you know. But that's kind of the idea. So will the algo be P2 pool compatible? Of course, yes. So P2 pool is obviously the team's preferred pool for you to mine to, because it says it's the most decentralized that you can get. So yeah, anything that we develop as far as algorithms will always be compatible with P2 pool. So let's see here. That's kind of it for the development this month. We didn't, I mean, like I said, everything is geared towards these algorithms and getting stuff squared away so that we can alleviate any sort of attack or threat to the network and bolster our ability to not necessarily keep control of the network, because we as developers, we're not in control. The miners are in control. Without them, you know, it's nothing. But as far as making it so that malicious actors can't affect the network negatively in order to either do a double spend or something of that nature. So get down to the Vertcoin marketing. This, for us, it was all about the fork this month too. You know, we didn't really focus on any merchant adoption or anything of that nature. We focused on reaching out to all of the exchanges, reaching out to all of the wallets, any third party that uses Vertcoin in order to accept payment. We made sure that they were updating to the correct software, that they were updating to the latest software, so that they were going to be following along with the fork. So last month I did the normal Vertcoin talk at the beginning of the month for the December developer update, and then also just talked about the upcoming fork. I did do a different show last month called Talking Blockchain. This is, you know, I'd love to get you guys' thoughts as far as how you feel about this type of a show, but it's basically a show with other cryptocurrency projects, and we're kind of trying to break down tribalism that's happening inside of cryptocurrency. It's kind of rampant. You know, it's basically once you have your favorite coin, everybody else is a shit coin, and your coin's the greatest thing since sliced bread. When, you know, that's not really reality. I mean, every coin, in theory, at least the initial one that I talked to, which was Josiah from Digibyte, you know, each of our projects are very similar in kind of how they came about, but there's different focuses, where we focus purely on being a system of transfer of value, so a monetary system either through point of sale solutions, Lightning Network, in order to facilitate on off-chain swaps, atomic swaps and stuff of that nature. That's kind of our focus, where Digibyte, they are more focused not necessarily on being a currency, but more of just being an overall technology. So they're dabbing into a lot of different other things. And that show, if you watch the whole thing, I applaud you, because I think it was over 2.5 hours. And that was just, we had no agenda, no talking points squared away, no bullet points or anything like that going into that show. It was all off the top of our head, and we just kind of went from topic to topic and asked questions. We both streamed on our own YouTube channels, so I mean, it was a fun show, and I told him, you know, it'd be kind of cool to do something like that maybe once a quarter, you know, schedules depending, but yeah, let me know if that's something that you guys like and want to see more of. And then the last one, so I did live stream the fork, and it was a complete crap show, because the fork, actually, I had to rush out, grab my daughter, and come back. And according to whenvtcfork.xyz, which Adam had set up, we had 45 minutes or so, and then I think a lot of the mining pools and stuff of that nature started to switch over to the new algorithm, and it just blew through the blocks. And when I came back, there was 3 blocks left before I was about to start, so I was stumbling to get that together, but I was trying to show that live, just to kind of make a little event out of it to celebrate the fact that we were forking. You know, whenever we go to fork to Vert Hash, or if we were to fork to a Layer 2 Rev 4, you know, any types of forks and stuff of that nature, I'm going to try to be live, just so everybody can see, you know, that we are forking. If there is any problems, I'm kind of on the hook because I am live, so if there is a problem, you'll see it directly on my face, and then everybody in the chat. But yeah, so those are the 3 shows that we did last month. Also, so Vertcoin is now on Delta Direct. I know some community members had asked about that, so I put out an inquiry to them. They're more than happy to get us on there, so we are now on there now. So go over there and check that out. We did put out a tweet just a little bit earlier announcing that, so you can see us now over on Delta Direct. So some key performance indicators. This is kind of what was going on with our social stuff this month. We're still cranking up on Facebook, but we are much lower outside of the Discord members. We are much lower on Facebook than we are on Twitter and Reddit. Those both, you know, they kind of stayed about the same. So, you know, that's not too bad. So we did have a community member point out that the developer fund thing, I think we got to get this updated because we did have a few thousand Vertcoin donations through last month. So check back the developer update at a later date. I know I think James has got to work because James handles the donations and the wallet addresses and all that such. So we'll get this updated and get that squared away. But it looks like in January we did get a substantial amount of donations, if I recall correctly from what I was looking at earlier. So let's look at some questions here. He said, how much is Lit and Litsbox stopped? So Lit is the Lightning network that's developed by MIT DCI. So that development-wise, I think that's starting to slow down, and they're starting to look for that to get offloaded to another group that wants to take that up. You know, they kind of have reached almost the limit as far as building that infrastructure and stuff as a group over there at MIT. You know, maybe that's something that we can take up. Obviously, we need developers in order to do that. Right now, with us being all volunteers, it's kind of it's a hobby project. You know, when you have spare time, you got to be able to do it. You know, type stuff. If we had the ability to actually hire full-time developers, I would, you know, that would be something that I would love to take up and us to just run with that. Litbox is actually, the software is done. So if we go over to the Vertcoin GitHub, and I might be able to do that here. So GitHub Vertcoin project. So if we go here and we come here and we click on Litbox, we can actually see that we have a so we have 24 comments. Here's a bunch of the information, but the Litbox is already squared away from a software standpoint. We're just waiting on some other key developments in the Lit platform as far as the Lightning network for that to finish before we can wrap up Litbox. But Gert has been kind of heading that up. So if you have any questions on Litbox or anything like that, please shoot him a message over there. Let's see, what is Delta Direct? So Delta Direct, the last I had heard, it's kind of like Blockfolio Signals. It's just a way to get all of your information. It's just another avenue, kind of like CoinGecko. But if somebody in the chat I'm not as familiar with it, but if somebody in the chat knows a lot about Delta Direct, please educate us on that. Let's see, Red Panda Mining, nice to see you, man. I've been watching some of your videos that you've been doing here as of late. You know, how much has the network hash rate dropped since the fork? So let's go over here. We'll go Vertcoin hash rate. Let's just take a look here. So as you can see, let's go to hash rate. Where are we at here? So we're gonna zoom in because, so as you can see, this is our hash rate. Once the ASICs really, so we've been hovering around the 700 gigahash or so for a while. So then the ASICs started to come online at the end of last year, and you can see it just jumped up like crazy. So we're in the terahashes now. And then when we forked, we went from 5.1 terahash all the way down to 400 to 300 gigahash, and that's kind of, now we're starting to slowly come back up. So we're at, right now we're just under 600 gigahash as a network. You know, the difficulty and everything of that nature has drastically dropped, but that, you know, that was you can obviously see the ASICs got kicked off of the network. So unfortunately they were able to mine our currency from, you know, really, I mean, they started to creep in here. I guess that's when they were starting to do some testing on them and stuff of that nature. But really, since about October last year, we had a little bit, and then we saw once the first shipments of the ASIC got shipped here at the very end of October, then they were able to mine us. And, you know, this, I think in November is kind of when we did the test net, so we just had to make sure that everything was nice and secure. And then when we forked, that got squared away there. So was FPGAs used mainly on Lara 2 Rev 2 recently? I think FPGAs, I don't think there's a lot of them. But I think there are some, and they were much more efficient than a GPU, obviously, because that's how they are. I mean, that's their design. But there was not as many of those as there was of I think it's the Z1 or the Dyson Z1. I think it's the name of the ASIC. The ASIC that was developed for the algorithm. There was many more of those, and unfortunately, a lot of people were taking that ASIC and pointing it to NiceHash, using NiceHash in order to mine Vertcoin. So that just kind of compounded the problem that we were having with NiceHash. Let's see. Yeah. So yep, 500 to 600 gigahash. That's where we are currently right now. Some whales must have dumped Vertcoin in the last 24 hours. So I think you know, and we don't talk about price as far as a project, and that's because of where we want to be as a commodity. We don't want to be a security, so I don't ever want to be looked at as a promoter. You know, kind of like what happened with who was that? I can't remember. It was the DJ Khaled. He got in trouble for promoting cryptocurrencies and stuff of that nature. But we did see that spike on Vertcoin, and you know, we had talked about in the Discord. We were like, well, it takes 600 confirmations on Bittrex. We'll see a dump in 600 confirmations, and that's kind of what we saw. So you know, it is what it is. Let's see. I want to cover Vertcoin since the hard fork, just getting some info. Yeah, Ripan, if you have any questions or anything like that, man, as you've been in our Discord, and I would recommend this to anybody who comes into the Discord, you know, there's tons of information in there. You know, if you're looking for any information, if you ask in there at all, you'll get answers. So by all means, come into our Discord. You can see our blogs. I mean, it's pretty much every month we are putting out a developer blog that that facilitates all of the information that we're doing on a month-to-month basis. You know, so if you want any information, we document it there. And if you can't find what you're looking for, please come and ask us inside of the Discord. See any other questions we got here? So the fluctuates due to NiceHash. Yep. The main reason for the high hash rate was A6. I don't know about any FPGAs were present. Now see, I don't know specifically of any FPGAs that are currently active. So nobody's like reached out to me or the team that I'm aware of that they're currently active. But I know Flackfire, who's one of our head mods over there in the Discord, he's talked about some FPGAs. So I assume there are some out there. I don't know how many number. You know, what's the number of that? So I know that's some of the research that we're looking to do in Vert Hash is also to not necessarily stop FPGAs, but the kind of the thing that I talked with Alex, one of our developers, a few Vertcoin talks ago, is that, you know, we're not necessarily against FPGAs or ASICs in the sense of the hardware itself. It's the competitive advantage versus dollar cost to get one. So if a video card costs $100 and it mines 100 mega hash, and I'm using these round numbers just to make the math simple, but an FPGA costs $150 but mines at 1 gigahash. Obviously, there's a disparity there in dollar to hash power. Same goes for an ASIC. If it costs, you know, $1,000 for an ASIC, but you're getting 1 terahash off of the ASIC, it is, you know, vastly more hash power than what, you know, your dollar ratio with the graphics card. So that's kind of our philosophy behind it. Is like, look, you want to spend $50,000 in order to set up a mining system, then it should be 50,000 times more powerful than the mining system that costs $1. Yeah, just to simplify the math there. Let's see. Yeah, so I know there are some farms, some GPU farms that are dedicated to Vertcoin. A lot of them, you know, they love the philosophy behind the project, and so there's some big GPU mining farms. You know, one of the cool things with us now, we are the only person on our algorithm, so we are necessarily the king of this particular algorithm. So I could see anybody who has, and right now AMD kind of has a little bit of an advantage when it comes to mining the new algorithm. But anybody who has like a big AMD farm, if they're, you know, tired of Ethereum or something of that nature, I could easily see them jumping over to Vertcoin. And I am much happier with a GPU farm that's, you know, 2,000 GPUs run by a few people, as opposed to a, you know, 2,000 ASICs, which, you know, there's no competitive, you know, between those two there. There's no real, you can't really even compare the two. Yeah, so the Discord, you can see in the link up in the top right of the video here. Let's see, I'm just saying, is there any other questions you guys have? That's about all I have for the developer update this month. Looking to have some pretty good news next month. I'm hoping if everything works out as far as timing, we should have some good information coming out next month that involves things with the foundation, which I know a lot of you guys have been following and wanting to hear more about. We've definitely gotten some positive news on that front. So we're going down those steps, and we're hoping to have something squared away, hopefully by the next developer update, if not the one after that. Just the timing is what's going to be weird. But if you guys don't have any other questions, I'll go ahead and let you go for today. I want to thank you for joining us here on this episode of Vertcoin Talk. This is episode 15, and we will see you guys in the next one.
Vertcoin is a currency similar to Bitcoin or Litecoin, with the major differentiating factor being that it is committed to being an ASIC-resistant coin, which means it can only be mined by GPUs. So that means that anybody from, a kid sitting in his dorm room in New York or somebody sitting in China in their home can be mining the coin. So it can't be mined by really expensive ASIC machines. When we talk about the vision of Satoshi Nakamoto being decentralized currency, where Bitcoin and Litecoin and some of these other coins kind of fail to do that is with these consolidated ASIC farms that are owned by just a handful of people that are processing all of the transactions. So with Vertcoin, it decentralizes the mining and the processing power of that blockchain to just the everyman. Anybody who feels like they want to get involved in mining can get involved and invest in mining equipment to mine Vertcoin, and they can rest assured that even if Vertcoin becomes the most popular cryptocurrency in the world, there will never be ASICs developed for it that only fat cats can afford to run. Another thing that is kind of part of the ecosystem of Bitcoin and Litecoin and Vertcoin, which is that those three coins are all SegWit enabled, which is a scalability solution for those blockchains. So Vertcoin is one of the first, if not the first, to enable SegWit, and it pretty much gives them the ability to be on the Lightning Network, which allows for something called atomic swaps. Vertcoin, in essence, can work as a payment mechanism for Bitcoin, for example, or you can seamlessly swap within the wallet using this Lightning Network technology, which creates a scalability solution not only for Vertcoin, but for Bitcoin and Litecoin as well. The social media venues are Twitter just at Vertcoin, Reddit r/Vertcoin, and the Discord. And you can pretty much find the links to all three of them right on the website vertcoin.org, and you'll find a lot of great other information.